Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we live to hate. I am Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Love is Blind. This is the second drop, so I'm hoping to be covering all 3 episodes in this one episode. That is the plan. So let's get into it. So, Season 8, Episode 7, Bueller. Bueller is not here. He is out there in was it the Macy's Day Parade? Is that what he was in? Singing Dankeschön and Do You Love Me? Okay, let's get to it. So, we start off with where we left off with Taylor and Daniel's situation. So she says, it really scares me. And he says, seeing the doors open was the first time I saw you. Yeah, I don't know if I fully believe him. Do I also think it I do, okay. I don't fully believe him, but at the same time, I don't believe he came on here with ill will. I don't think he came in here with the ill intention of, like, he's stalking her or something. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't. Um, but I don't know if I fully believe him either. So he says that, and he's like, I do not remember following you, and I would have, you know, he said he would have told production if he did. I don't think he would have. I don't. I don't think he would have, personally. Anyway, she says, I hear you, but I also have the followers app so she can see who's followed her and who's unfollowed her. So at this point, though, he kind of says, right, well, it is possible that I could have followed you. So now it's possible that you could have followed her and then unfollowed her. Okay. Because before you were saying you didn't. You know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, it's possible. He's like, I don't know why I would have done that, but like, it's possible. And I think I know why he would have done that. If he did follow her, maybe he didn't get any form of acceptance from her, and maybe he just decided to unfollow her because of it. So, like, I think, it's as simple as that, really, potentially. But he's like, she says, if I see your name there, then like there's going to be an issue. I think she's basically trying to say. So production then comes over and says, listen, if you need the answers that you're looking for, we're willing to give you your phone back so that you can do that. And she says, okay, great. Yeah, let's do it. So he says, if I am, like, he's like, I can't say, like, I did not come here with knowledge that you were going to be here or anything like that. So then she asks, like, does anyone have Wi-Fi? Anyone? Anyone have Wi-Fi? Anyone? And both of them in unison say, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. It's funny because, yeah, I will say Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of my favorite movies. It's so good. Such a classic. Oh, problematic people in it. Whole person. But eh, he was problematic in the movie too, let's be real. And if you don't know, I mean the principal. So, anyway, so this suspense though, it's thick. It's killing me. I'm ready to know. We're seeing her kind of going through it, and she's taking a really long time. She's scrolling. She's like, I have had a lot of followers. I'm sorry. She's going through and going through. And she's like, I feel crazy. And he says, like, first of all, I think he does validate her here and says, like, you're not crazy or whatever. He said, but do you believe me now? And she says, yes. And he says, listen, I promise you, I knew nothing. And he asked, like, but now, do we go to Honduras, which is where they're going? Do you want to go back home? Wherever it is you want to go, like, I'm going to be there. And she says she feels really bad, but loves that he's also very patient with her. And they are most likely going to go to Honduras. So now we are heading to Honduras. We see Nick and Vanessa for 5 seconds and we move along. We're 4 weeks away from the wedding. So we're just going to basically just be going through everybody. It's going to be pretty quick because, I mean, there's not a lot really here to discuss through, but we're going to, make our way through. So Virginia and Devin just joke about their ages because that's all they can talk about. Like, you're 5 years, like, apart. You guys don't need to continuously keep talking about your ages. This is stupid. Lauren says that she got a bikini wax and they told her that she is not allowed to have sex for 24 hours. Girl, chances of you having sex in the next 24 hours is slim. So she he's like, oh, I'm bummed out because, like, I want to do that. And he says, absolutely nothing. Anyways, Daniel pees without washing his hands. And Taylor's like, wash your hands. Like, ew, that's disgusting. We literally just went through a pandemic where they talked about wash your fucking hands. And you're out here and just not washing your hands? Sick. So Lauren and David go to the hot tub, and there is some awkward silences between them, but she is kind of sensing that at the same time and thinking, like, it's only her. Like, am I awkward? Like, tell me if I'm awkward. It's not just you, though. It's also him. I think personally, he's the awkward one in the situation. She's picking that up, but for whatever freaking reason, she's putting it on her. It's not on her. It's him. Like, I really do believe he is having buyer's remorse. Honest to God. Because he picked the wrong person for himself. He should have picked Molly because that's what he would like or be into. And Lauren is the safe choice. So I don't know. For him. Anyways, I don't mean because I love her. For him. So Ben, who I've heard problematic things from, thank you, Reality Cray for ruining it for me. Ben is showing Sarah his box, which whatever. And in the process, he knocks over his water goblet twice. Fun. Monica needs to sleep with white noise because she's a very light sleeper. Any single sound is just going to wake her up and it's over. Devin and Virginia do couples massages the next day. They go for a walk. He says things with her are just easy, so easy that it's boring for me. He says they make love so easy. Great. They're so damn boring. They're so boring. I can't. It's harmful for me. Then we have Lauren and David. They're talking about how they both go down the bed like when they're sleeping. Like, because I understood because I do this. She will literally, like, as she's sleeping, kind of somehow in the middle of sleeping, scooch down to the bottom of the bed. So then you wake up and you're like, what the fuck? And you have to, like, scooch back up. I used to do that a lot when I was younger, but I kind of stopped doing it. And all of a sudden now, I think in the last, I don't know, I would actually say that maybe the last month or so, I've started doing it again. And I don't know why. And I'm like, what is happening? And I have to keep scooching back up. Um, Luckily for me, because I am so short, like, it takes a lot for me to, like, I'm not like hanging off the bed or anything. Um, but it's still like, what is happening? So I understood. And then they play there's like this dunk tank there. He plays with he sits on the dunk tank. She gets him in eventually, and then yeah, so that's basically it. Then we have Danielle and Taylor, and Danielle is telling Taylor the best part of today was listening to T Swift while getting ready. Wonder what song they listened to. I think if they were listening to a song, T Swift song, it's most likely like I would personally think it could be something just mushy gushy and just fitting of the time, like a love story or something. But I'm personally gonna say she probably made him listen to and it's gonna be a mainstream one for me because I am who I am. Um, we are never getting back together. It's probably gonna be blank space. Something like that. I personally would listen to Anti-Hero or something. I don't know. But the biggest thing for me here is that her name's Taylor. She listens to Taylor Swift anyway, so continue. So she says that she still feels really bad about the whole situation with the Instagram following or whatever. So, she's really still in that. And she doesn't necessarily regret having the conversation with him, but she regrets how she handled it. He doesn't hold anything against her though, so this too shall pass, I guess, unless it comes up. Joey and Monica are kind of just having some drinks or whatever, and he says, "Is that fireplace bothering you? Because it's bothering me." Oh, he has OCD. It's a certain thing like him. Um, and he for real has OCD. Like this is like, I'm OCD. No, he for real. And he basically says like, can I please start talking about it, how he believes he got it or started for him because of his life being maybe chaotic with his he's kind of talked about his mom in the sense of money wasn't always available. So OCD, because again, I'm talking from a perspective of I understand it to a degree. My aunt has been diagnosed with OCD. She's had it since the 90s. So I've grown up with the knowledge of her OCD. Now, OCD comes out of everybody very differently. For her, it was always the hand washing, constantly brushing your teeth for almost an hour, if not longer, not being able to go into her home. If you did, like there was a designated place for you to go, like certain things like that. That's how it presented in her. Like she was pretty severe. After having kids, it even got even more severe. But that's kind of how it presented in her. For him, um, or I think like the more we're talking about is it's a control thing. You're trying to control the situation around you. Um, so that's kind of maybe what he was seeking. For him, it was that control. And even for those people who watch Bailing Out Loud, which I love that show so much, I would cover it, but honest to God, I say this is trash TV. That is not trash TV. I love Out Loud. But she has OCD as well. And I think, again, like maybe her OCD, her control tactics for her is because she does tick a lot. She also has these, these outbursts and whatever. Like maybe this is her way of controlling, or maybe it's just even not he hasn't. I think her Tourette's, it could be the anxiety and whatever. Like this, an anxiety, OCD, her Tourette's, all that like would go hand in hand. But so it's a control thing for sure. And that was probably him trying to, hold on to a little bit of control that he had. And the way it comes out on him, very similarly to another person in our reality TV world, is he'd have to count everything. Like anything. If he's counting, and similar to Balin as well, like for her, the counting is if she ticks, she has to continue that tick another 2 times because she has to, like, say the thing 3 times, right? Or do the thing 3 times or whatever it is, right? But also, Sarper. Sarper counts as well. He's counting how many partners he's had. He's counting how many documents he needs for his interview. He's counting all these different things. Like, that is for him. When he does, he definitely has OCD or some sort of well, I would say that is a compulsive disorder, right? So I think that that's kind of what he deals with. It was just interesting to kind of hear somebody else who isn't sober talking about having to count everything. It's very interesting. I don't remember ever hearing that about with my aunt, her having this compulsive need to count everything. I don't believe, but it's interesting to kind of see these two people have kind of similar things that they do because of their OCD. He says that he would have to pick things up a certain way as well, which, okay, I'm kind of going to my different things here that I can relate to. Can understand this from the sense of I didn't go through this, but my brother, who I've mentioned, is as ASD, sorry. Um, and when like, he's, as far as I know, hasn't been diagnosed with OCD. I don't believe he has OCD. But he, when he was a baby, would have to pick things up a certain way. He would line up his toys in a certain way, which apparently, for anyone who has watched The Baldwins, I have really not, but my mom did watch a little bit of it. Apparently, Alec Baldwin does the same thing because he has OCD, which I did not know that. I didn't know that. Um, my brother would do that though. He would line, and if you dare mess up what he was doing, he would freak out and do it all over again. That's just one example of things that he would do. So when Joey brings it up and he says that he would have to pick certain things up in a certain way, I'm like, oh my God, that was my brother. He had to do the same thing. Um, he says that you're aware of what you're doing, but like your mind spirals. You can't really control it because it is a compulsive disorder. Your brain is telling you, you have to do this. You have to pick that up differently. You have to count this. You have to do this. You have to line up your toy cars this way. You have to do your tick now 2 more times because you need to do 3 times in total. You need to count the 2,500 women you've had sex with. You need to do that. You know what I mean? So it's a compulsion. You have to do it. So he said he tries to combat it um by on his own. They did say to him, there are medications. He didn't want to go on medications. He did exposure therapy, and he says I'm sure it's tough, but he does say it did, help him a bit. Or I think he still deals with certain things, or at least he's dealt with it a little bit, but like OCD doesn't go away. Yeah, exposure therapy can help. Um, so to a degree, but again, it's a process as well, I would imagine. He says I was a weirdo, and Monica, like I said, listen, we are the weirdos, mister. It's fine. We're all weirdos. I would rather be a weirdo than be normal. It's normal. Normal's boring. Normal's Virginia. Sorry. So, talking about Virginia, Virginia likes chocolate covered strawberries. Do you see what I mean? Now we got I'm so into you, I can barely breathe, which is one of my favorite songs, actually, by Ariana Grande is one of my favorite songs. Like, I've never been sick of that song. I love that song very much. So I was bopping to the song, and they played quite a, they might as well play the entire song. Like, they played a lot of it. So anyway, now we have Lauren and David. We have another conversation about peeing a lot with sleeping. 'Cause apparently she gets up and pees a lot, and he's been constantly talking about it. He's going to talk about it more later. You pee a lot. You pee a lot. What? It's so stupid. They have not had sex yet, but he says, "I have seen her naked." So, okay. He's like, "I can tell that she's not really ready for that yet." So he's respecting her space, so it's great. And he says, "When she is ready, I'll be ready. I'll be here." So David apparently asked her, this is going to be a running theme for the next couple of episodes. He apparently asked her if she had been dating anyone before coming onto the show. She apparently told him that she did. I guess she gave him the name of the person, and he says, I kind of know her ex, who she doesn't refer to as an ex. I'll get to that in a second. But he says, I kind of know her, kind of know him. Um, there apparently is mutual friends between him and this guy. He's maybe met him once or twice, but he doesn't actually like know him, but he knows of him. But she explains she doesn't really refer to him as an ex because she says they talked for a few months before and it was very casual. Nothing happened really. There wasn't any investment between them and it just either fizzled out or didn't happen or whatever it was. Like it just nothing happened. He says, well, it's tough because, I've been single for 4 years. I just thought that, a lot of us would be not dating or anything. Why would you assume that? Why would you assume that everyone is going to be in the same journey that you're on? You made a decision to be single for 4 years. He says, like, I figure we're all here because we've fucked up dating lives or whatever. But that's your journey. That's not everyone else's journey. And I don't think we've had similar situation with Married at First Sight with the last season where Laura's being slut shamed for having sex, however weeks it was before getting married to Orion. And it's just like, I don't know if I care. Like in that situation, I can maybe understand to an extent only because you're signing up to well, you in this case too, you're signing up to be married, you're getting married immediately. There maybe is a cutoff or whatever of that, um, where, whatever. But again, if it's just a casual thing, we all have needs. I don't know if we're going to be sexually compatible. I don't know if we're going to have sex. You know what I mean? So why should I be dried up like the Sahara? Well, whatever. And again, Orion did a very similar thing where he's like, well, I haven't done anything in however long it was, but that's your journey. Doesn't mean it's mine. And that's kind of what David is doing now to Lauren. Just because you've been single for 4 years, which I don't buy for a minute, you haven't had sex in 4 years. There's a difference. Being single for 4 years and being abstinent for 4 years is two different things. I don't buy for a goddamn second. You did not have sex even a month or two before coming onto the show. Don't even, don't even. You know what I mean? And that's basically what she's trying to get at is we weren't actually in an official relationship. He was just a person I was having sex with, which is, there's nothing, in my opinion, as a person who's had a friends with benefit situation, I see nothing wrong with it. Like, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. So, yeah, so he says that, and he says that, that was one reason he decided to end it with Molly because she had just gone out of a quote unquote 6 month relationship or whatever it was, or a relationship 6 months prior or whatever it was. But again, like Lauren, Molly wasn't really in an actual relationship with that person because she hasn't been in one. She was having casual sex or whatever with this person. Like, who gives a shit? I don't care that Lauren or Molly, any other person, man or female on the show, was potentially having casual sex with somebody or somebody's. Who cares? Like, Get off your goddamn high horse. What is with people on Chris Cole and Joe's having high horses that they just plop their asses onto? Like, enough. Who cares? Like, I feel like this man is trying to curate a reason to not have this work with her. That's all I feel like this is. So, he then asks, like, how do you feel about me talking to Molly? Out of the clear blue damn sky. Figures, okay, well, I mean, shit, Molly wasn't as bad. So how do you feel when we're talking to her when I see her? Get, get fucked. Get all the way fucked. You put this poor girl, Lauren, and Molly through hell and back with your nonsense fuckery. And then you want to put Lauren through more and say, how do you feel when you're talking to Molly? Get out. Get fucked. Just, no. I hate him. Like, oh, men and their straight men and their little tiny little egos. They just need to be caressed and taken care of delicately, grow up here. That's basically this episode is episode 7. We're gonna take a break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with episode 8. And I am back. So let's do episode 8. And this one's titled A Family Affair. It's going to be boring, y'all, so let's just get through it. So, Ben only washes his hair every other week. It's kind of disgusting. But apparently, his barber says he has beautiful locks, so he's going to do what he's going to do. But she's like, is this man disgusting? What is happening? So she asks him, like, how many times do you wash your sheets? And he said, every 2 weeks. Okay, that's good. So he basically washes his sheets every time he washes his hair. We wash our sheets every 2 weeks. I know some people might do it every month or something, which I'm not about. But anyways, we got the couple meet up now. Sarah basically fails on doing a shot. It just goes all over the place. Great. David goes around to basically almost every person there and says, yeah, things are going great. We sleep well, she pees a lot. Um, you guys having sex? We're not having sex. Are you having sex? Like, should we be having sex? He's going around and asking everybody. And it's kind of weird and evasive. And how about mind your own? It just, I don't like him. But Monica does ask him, like, how are things with Lauren? Sarah and Daniel talk, and she kind of brings up Taylor potentially recognizing him and stuff like that. And he kind of just gives her the quick rundown of that. We don't have to go through that again, so let's move on. Now at the end of all of this scene, do we not start here? All my life, I pray for someone like you. Where did they get the budget? The music on this season. Okay. So everyone is just kind of heading back to Minnesota now, where it's 20 degrees. Yike. The apartments are actually really nice. Joey keeps his house at apparently 50 degrees. That's ridiculously cold. You're incorrect, sir. Um, he says he hates washing dishes. Don't you know? But he says that he does like to wash his clothes, because he likes clothes. And she gives the story of this time when she, I guess, had clothes piled up in a closet, and a spider nest was in the crotch of the pants. And she says it was a wolf spider. I looked at a picture. I have seen this type of spider before, but I looked at a picture and I'm like, fuck that. That's now its closet and home and all that. They have really cute faces, but no, thank you. So Taylor and Daniel talk about how many Christmas trees they're going to be putting up. She has her four, so five, six. And don't forget garland. Garland's important. So we're at Devin's place now, and the man is really a minimalist, I think. And he has nothing in his cupboards. Sorry, no, that's not, sorry, we're Devin's, not David's. Devin's place. The man, so he has a lot of shoes. As he's mentioned, he has a lot of shoes. Too many shoes. He has paid $700 for one pair of shoes. I feel triggered. That's my man too. He's done shit like that. I literally had to put a stop to that and say, you need to stop. And he did. He actually did slow down a lot. So then we go to Virginia's place. And they just kind of talk about finances, the usual boring things that you talk about. And she says that she would want to do a prenup. Is smart. She says, he used to not want to do one, but she's like, now I feel like, how could you not? Thank you. Let's normalize prenups before getting married. Really and truly. I think everyone should have a prenup. It doesn't have to be this negative connotation that you're worried about getting divorced, but let's be real, the divorce rate is high. You may not make it, especially with this experience. Protect your assets. I think it's completely smart. Anyways, so they kind of talk about debts they could have, they potentially have. He says that he does have his student loan debts and also his medical bills from his surgeries as well. So, she would be taking that on. Then we're at David's apartment now. So now we're at David's apartment. She's checking the fridge. Nothing's in the fridge. She's looking in the cupboards. Not a damn thing in the cupboards. He says, I'm a minimalist. And I'm like, sir, there's a difference between minimalism and you just don't buy shit. This is wow. But what he does buy, y'all, is One Direction t-shirts. Or you bet your sweet ass he has his One Direction t-shirts. Okay. Think nothing against One Direction at all. Okay. I tried to fight the feeling of One Direction too once upon a time. I lost. So whatever. Um so he has a pimp hat as well. She says her parents are definitely warming up to the idea of her getting married to David, and her getting married, or sorry, getting warming up to David and also her getting married. His sister has been reading some articles about people coming on the show for clout, and has said clearly she watched season 6. I honestly, I think season 6 was probably just aired or airing at the time. So um she's reading people are coming on with girlfriends and stuff like that. Anyway, season 6 was a shit show in terms of the social media stuff. Her dad may or may not know she is living with David. Apparently, he's kind of very traditional in the sense of you don't get married before, you live together like before getting married. And he said, you know what? Like, I get it. My mom would have been the same way. Um, she probably would have gone as far as to say, even if you are married, you still don't sleep in the same room together in the house, in her house. Apparently her grandmother or his grandmother, so her mom, would not let his mom and dad sleep in the same room together. He would have to sleep in the basement. That's fucking ridiculous. May she rest in peace. That is ridiculous though. I'm sorry. You're married. Do you do what married people do? Get over it. Like, anyway. So the quote unquote ex, I say that in quotations because I'm going to believe Lauren here. The quote unquote ex that Lauren has talked about in the previous episode apparently has been texting her to try to get her to hang out with him. And he's made aware of that. And clearly he's now starting to spiral or just finding an excuse. Let's be real. So he said that his sister, quote unquote, found out about the ex, and now she has this preconceived notion of Lauren now. She didn't just find out about the ex, sir, you told her. You're sabotaging. You want to sabotage. I don't buy it. I don't buy him. I don't like him. I don't trust him. Um, and he's just kind of like, she thinks that she came in here with a boyfriend and this and that because again, she's reading the articles from season 6. Um, and I'm like, that's not what Lauren did. It's unfortunate, but it feels like them, David and Lauren, or in particular Lauren, is being shoved into this group because of freaking season 6. Multiple people coming on here with with relationships or whatever. What's his face with the mullet coming on with his girlfriend. It's just it's so unfair because that isn't Lauren is not that guy. Well, I can't remember his name right now. They are not the same people. He did come on here for clout, or at the very least was coming here to pull the wool over that girl's eyes and potentially try to be with Chelsea. Like that's a difference there. That's not Lauren. That's not fair. His sister sucks. You better meet her. Joey is now meeting Monica's family, where she actually currently lives in the house in the home. We have her mom Sandy, her dad Claudio, her sister Nicole, and I think maybe her boyfriend. So Nicole kind of asks, like, "Why are you single?" Because I mean, again, why do people have to be in relationships? Maybe they're not ready to be. Like, like maybe he didn't find the right person. Maybe that's more what's going on here. I I don't like her sister. That's kind of where it's coming from for me. Um, he says probably trauma. Yes, because he's been through traumatic experiences, as we know. So Sandy says, I was thinking we could fam jam. So her mom says, I think we could fam jam. Like, what's fam jam? What the fuck did I just watch? Listen, do you, okay? You didn't have to do it on camera. This was weird. I feel like I was in a fever dream. Yeah, you know. Her mom then says, you're cute together. They are cute together. Um, so her family, so I think I wrote something about commercial rock basket. I don't know. Anyways, her and her sister go outside and talk alone, and she's like, he's not your typical type. And Monica's like, but I don't really have a type. And her sister kind of says, she's like, well, your type is kind of like the Italian model type. And she's like, that's everybody's type. It's this very generic thing. And it's like, that's fantasy. That's not real. Not for everybody, anyways. Um, so she's like, okay, but then his personality. And she says it's like his personality is that like really the right type for you. And she goes through all of the reasons why he's like the right person. We both like the sound of music. And honestly, here, because Nicole makes a comment of, well, I figured I'd be the first one to get married. Like, I'm older. She's just pissed and she's jealous that Monica potentially found someone she's going to marry in the next month. This is all this is. Her sister sucks. And she's like, what if you get divorced? And she's like, I feel like he could be a really good actor. Joey's the sweetest guy on the show. The only person who's actually real. Her sister sucks. Anyways, that is it for episode 8. We're going to take another break here and then we will jump in with episode 9. And I'm back. So, Taylor, so sorry, episode 9, The X Files. Do, 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 do. Okay, so Taylor is meeting Daniel's friends and, oh, sorry, I think his family and his dog Castle. And we have Rachel, who's one of his sisters, and or is his only sister, I'm not sure, and she's legally blind. We have a Michael, um, his mom and his dad named John and Sally, and basically all I need to know is that they do give the stamp of approval. They tell her, "Welcome to the family," and nothing else to talk about. Lauren and David, so they're at a cycling place, a place that she actually works at part-time. And then afterwards, they're gonna be meeting her friends. He says, "I'm athletic, and I think I'm pretty good shape, but shit, this is tough." He's like, "I can't do, like, the motions, and, like, my legs are just, giving out on him," and so cycling is tough. I don't know this because I don't do it, but it's tough. We talk about the ex situation, and her friend says, "Listen, I knew that guy, and he actually dated a coworker of hers for 7 years, didn't wanna get married and, bailed out of the relationship, so he sounds like a just a hoot." And he said she said, "I would hang out with them," this guy and the coworker, and him and Lauren just kind of happened to connect on Hinge. And he's like, "We would have been hanging out with them if there was any kind of relationship between them," which I don't think is enough of a case personally, but I see what she's trying to say. And he actually makes a comment to her saying, "So should we," or sorry, so the ex said to the friend, "So should we try to blow up the wedding, or?" This guy just wants to be on TV, that's the thing. Like, he actually doesn't really care about being with her. Otherwise, if he did, like, he would have actually been with her, like, really, for real, for real. So, meanwhile, like, the whole time they're having this conversation, poor Lauren's just crying. She's been doing nothing but crying. And David says, "Well, would she have told me if I didn't ask?" Well, no, probably not, because why would she be thinking about something that's pretty insignificant as this guy that she had a casual thing with for 2 months? She probably wouldn't have told you. I I don't know what he's trying to get at. I don't think she would have put the connection. He would have put the connection, like, no one would have thought about it, potentially. So her friends say, "Okay, well, were you on dating apps prior to being on the show?" And he says, "Well, yeah, he was." He's like, "Were you flirting with girls at the bar?" And he says, "Yeah, but, like, that's not the same thing. They actually had something. Me flirting with girls in the bar is not the same," which I agree with. Him being on a dating app, trying to connect with people, going to a bar, hitting on people isn't the same. I do agree with him. Um, she says, "I need you to trust me." That's what she needs from him at this point. And she says, "I feel like I need to talk to the loudest people in your ear right now who is telling you all of these things about me." So more on that later, I guess. Eventually, maybe. I don't know, because I haven't seen the second batch yet. So we're meeting Becky, who is Devin's mom, and Willie, who is his dad. Also, his sister, I think her name was Kayla. So yeah. So we're kind of talking about, different things, and the prenup is brought up. And mom asks, "So what if he loses his job? What if you get sick? Like, are you going to be there for each other?" Well, I think I understand asking the question, but I think that's to be implied. Just because she's asking for a prenup or wants to do a prenup doesn't mean that they're not going to support each other, you know? I just don't know what the two have to do with each other. She says, so Virginia says yes. Um, and they're like, "What if," I think the sister asks this question, which is like, "What about, can they go with you?" Okay, anyways, she asks, "What if mom and dad retire?" And he says she wants to move them in with him. Like, are you open to that? And she says, yes, because nursing homes are scary. Amen to that. And his family is pretty much on board. And oh my God, y'all, they have a pet pig. That was the best part of this whole thing is the pet pig. And she excuses herself to go use the bathroom, which felt like a producer thing. And he talks to his family, and they, of course, are concerned about the prenup. But he does explain where her feelings are at with that, and they kind of where his things are at with that. And that's that. Moving on. So we get Sarah and Ben meeting. I think it was mainly her friends. I think one of his friends were there. I'm not sure. And this one friend of hers is like, oh, I love when you say zest for life. Zest for life? I like zest for life. It's not a crazy thing. I definitely feel like I've heard this before. She's like, oh my God, zest. Anyways, the friends are like, I think it's totally unfair to say that love is blind when you're both so hot. And one of the friends too is also queer. Um, so that was because I thought that was a topic that was brought up as well. But anyways, everyone seems to like each other, so it's great. Joey and Monica are talking about him meeting um the family after seeing the family, which was in the last episode. And he says, I think it went well with your parents. Your sister, though, not so much. I think she doesn't like me. Amen. And honestly, I don't even think it's about him. It's about Monica. They hate each other. I think, or at least Nicole hates her. I don't know. Um, but she's like, oh, don't worry. Like, I think, she will like you. She does like you, like whatever. No, she doesn't like him. Um, and he says, well, what if, so let me back up here. So he says, has she liked any of your boyfriends before in the past? And she's like, hmm, actually, no. He says, I think that's a problem y'all need to work out because that's a problem. Exactly. I feel like as long as she's an unmarried woman, she's going to dislike anyone she dates because that means it's a potential for her to get married before her. Gross. Then we are with Taylor and Daniel, and okay, I remember who's meeting who here. I think we're meeting Taylor's parents. So her dad, Dan, her mom, I think it was Connie, um, and her dad is pretty much in this. He's great. He's for it. Mom, not so much. She's a little more hesitant with the whole thing of it. And her mom says, in what world, to Taylor, by the way, in what world do you get engaged and not tell me? I feel left out. But she did tell you. She did tell you. Like, as far as I'm concerned, an engagement doesn't involve family. That's what I believe. I believe that is an intimate moment between the partners. I if that is something you want to do and you've discussed that with each other, that is one thing. But I personally feel like that should be an intimate thing for them. You are not obligated or think you have the right to be a part of an engagement. You get to be a part of the wedding. That is all you need to be a part of. Now, could it be the entire relationship of it all? Maybe. But as soon as they got their phones, you were the first to know. Sorry. Like, I thought it was kind of selfish of her mom a little bit, um, to have this expectation that you should be part of the engagement and you want to be upset about it. Not fair. Then Daniel's parents come in at this point and they're meeting the parents, which I thought was actually really good to see the parents meeting each other before the wedding. We never had that before. And the one thing that I think her dad says is, listen, I'm surprised that she went 3 weeks without a cell phone. I would agree because it took her literally 10, 15 minutes to find whether or not he was on her followers app. Um, so Daniel's parents, basically, no, hold on one second. I'm gonna confuse her. Her mom says, "We do not have divorce in this family. So y'all better make sure you can make this work." And I said, and that's the toxicity that I hate because it's, again, I live in a world of true crime. When people think they can't get out of a marriage because of religion or whatever, that's where monsters are created. You always have an out. That's how I believe, anyways. So the friends of David are apparently supposed to be coming over to discuss the whole situation with this quote unquote ex. Apparently, his friends have told him she hooked up with this guy the night before. Um, the so I think, or sorry, right before, not the night before, the right before, approximately a week before coming onto the show. And I believe that that did happen. I do. I do believe that happened. Um, she says that's not true. The last time that I saw him was when they got ice cream together, and he was telling her about his hinge date that he had, like, right before. I do also think that happened, but I also think y'all went home together. I think it could be both. Both things happened. Mm. So, he says he was her friend or something for 2 months, friends with benefits, that's it. They were friends with benefits for 2 months, which I don't care, like, whatever. I had a friends benefit for 2 years. It is what it is, you know? He says, "It feels weird that you hooked up with this guy and we're in this, like, the same bed and nothing has happened." Like, he's basically, I guess, trying to, like, slut shame her or weirdly, like, slut shame her, and the fact that, "Okay, so you hook up with this guy, but you can't do that with me and we're supposed to be getting married." No, it means she's taking you more seriously. She wasn't taking that guy seriously after a time. She's trying to take you seriously and not run with the sex. And I think that's perfectly acceptable. Like, just how, because of how I act with one person doesn't mean you're going to get the same treatment. So she says to him, "Go, well, yeah, because you have been elsewhere." He's like, "Yeah, for good reason." That's exactly it. You're not mentally, emotionally with this with me. You're more concerned about this quote unquote ex that I had. Um, so how can that leave room for intimacy? Um, he says, "I think my friends shouldn't come tonight." And I feel like, did he do this on purpose? Like, were the friends ever really gonna come? Like, are they really talking? I don't know. It just, his hyperfixation on everything is interesting. 'Cause I feel like if he said, "Listen, I don't care about that," they would let it go. I don't know. It's just weird. But he says, "When I do get to talk to your friend," she says, or sorry, "when do I get to talk to your friends? Because if I can't, because if I can't, this isn't going to work," is what she says, which I feel like I'd be giving up now, personally. He says that he's still going to see his friends without her, which I think is kind of a slap in the face, personally. So then we have Sarah and Ben, and we kind of see him being like, "Oh my God." And he's talking about this TikTok video that he sees where this woman says, "Love is Blind is filming in Minneapolis. And I'm just tired of reality TV promoting toxic men." And she's like, "Oh, that's interesting." And he knows this person. Pardon? So wait, she's talking about you? He basically says he was talking to her for a time. He had to block her. She ended up blocking him too. And he explains that they met on Tinder 4 years ago. He's like, "No hooking up happened. Nothing really happened." He says he doesn't even remember really what happened, which I don't buy. I think something happened. He does not like, or sorry, she does not like that he doesn't remember. And he says, "Listen, I had a date with her, you know, maybe there could have been a kiss or something, but, like, I ghosted her afterwards because I didn't maybe he didn't like what was happening, I don't know. Sarah says, "Well," she's like, "So why would she be crying about the situation 4 years ago or something that happened 4 years ago?" And he says, "I don't know, maybe, it was just basically saying, like, if you guys barely talked." So, well, maybe there was, like, DMs here or there, But she definitely was the one who basically reached out to me is what he says, which is, "Okay." And she says, "I'm going to trust you, but if anything else comes out, I won't trust you, and I need you to tell me everything." Men, when women tell you this is when you fess up. Tell her everything. Anyways, that is it for this episode. That is it for this batch of episodes, second batch. We will get to the second batch as soon as I can. Um, Maybe I'll do that first and then we'll get to other things. But um, yeah, that's basically it. Again, I don't remember if I said on top of the episode, Patreon is available for you to join. Links in the show notes. You can go on there and listen to Jersey Shore season 1. Season 2 is going to be starting mid-March. Um, so it's coming soon. And we just did the Ashley Madison documentary this month. Next month, we're going to be doing The Man with 1,000 Kids. You can look out for bonuses that'll be coming out for Jersey Shore season 2 and Ashley Madison. So you can listen to that first before deciding to join. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. Um, oh yeah, and social media, Blue Sky. Links also in the show notes for that too. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there. And you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.